So thank you everybody for sharing your personal experiences, and I just wanted to really quickly share a little bit about my journey with this as well. So very similar to you, Donna, my son, I've got 3 boys. My middle son, who's now 10, I just couldn't understand him very well. I found it really difficult emotionally for me, because it just felt like everybody would look at you as a parent, that you weren't parenting properly, and that's how it felt so intensely. And then as soon as I understood that this is what he had going on, and it was literally because I went to a workshop and this lady, and I'm terrible with names, Nicola can potentially remember who it is. Ruth Fiddler, that's it, isn't it? Ruth Fiddler. And it was like she'd lived in a cupboard in my house, and I was like, oh my goodness, she is literally describing my son. And so it was just this kind of weight that had lifted off. And so once that journey started, we understood much more what it was we were trying to support. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through some of the things that and I'm not just talking about PDA here, I'm talking about us as mums and our emotions as well, because of course that is so, so important. So check my screen. And if you have any questions, please do. You know, this is for you, for us to go through. So basically, you're created to function as a whole. So your mind, body, and spirit. And if we nourish all of these areas, then we are going to function more effectively. And this is for absolutely everybody, whether it's children, adults alike. It is all the same. We need, and sometimes there's things we can't necessarily change, but we can have an impact on how we think about it. And if we see life as it is and focus on the good bits, it can really, really help. But sometimes things are so tough, it's harder to see those good bits. So I want to share some of the different oils and things that we have used to really support on that. So emotions are information carrying molecules that actually bind to the cell receptors and then create a reaction. So they get into the cells and create a reaction. And so this is really, really interesting, because actually essential oils work in a very similar way. So before I talk about what and how these essential oils can work, it's really, really important I talk about why doTERRA essential oils are so, so different. Now, in the essential oil world, there are hundreds of different brands of essential oils, and sadly, majority of them are just not good enough. They're not good enough for us to put on our bodies. It will say on the back, do not put directly on the skin. They're not good enough for us to take internally. It will say, do not take internally. So a lot of the kind of the essential oils available, they just can't be used in the way that we need to utilize them effectively. doTERRA essential oils are sourced all over the world where they're supposed to grow naturally. So what that means is they are super potent and then super effective. They are safe and work with our body, not only for our physical needs, but also our emotional needs. And we're going to look at how that works. So we can use doTERRA essential oils in 3 different ways. Aromatically, which is breathing it in. So like we've mentioned already, and Donna mentioned as well, with the diffuser. And then we can also use them directly on our skin, but also doTERRA essential oils. And again, super important. Need doTERRA essential oils is that you can take those internally. So how does fragrance work? So when fragrance is inhaled, the odor molecules travel up the nose and they're trapped by the olfactory membranes. And that is protected by this lining inside the nose. When they're stimulated by those odor molecules, the lining of the nerve cells is triggered, and actually it goes directly, so the limbic part of the brain here, and that is where basically our memories and our emotions are. So you might have smelt something, gone, oh, that smells like Christmas, or oh, that reminds me of something. You know, how intensely that is connected. But because this is directly linked to the brain, it actually helps and supports, it controls the heart rate, it controls the blood pressure, breathing, memory, stress levels, hormone balancing. So essential oils can have a profound physiological and psychological effect because of this. The sense of smell is the only one of the 5 senses directly linked to the limbic lobe of the brain. So this is the seat here, just you can see if you see it here. And basically, this is also that emotional control center. So that's where we have anxiety, depression, fear, anger, joy. All of this comes from this region of the brain. And so if we can use essential oils to get to there really quickly, we can change what's going on. And that's what's really, really powerful. So it's kind of like having 3 brains. And I always remember the first time I saw this, I thought, wow, that doesn't make sense to me. But actually, when you think about it and how you feel, you kind of go, yes, actually, that totally makes sense. So you've got the 3 brains. So you've got the mind, the logic and intellect. That's the subconscious mind, and it directs over 90% of the behavior. Then you've got that heart, so the intuition. And there's more neuro pathways that run from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. And I always think that's really powerful. So how we're feeling impacts directly on the behavior. Then we've got our gut, that gut feeling. This is where we have to think about what is it we're putting into our bodies, because 90% of the body's serotonin involved in mood management is actually produced in the gut. So how powerful is that? This region is impacted so powerfully. So these 3 brains, how are they interconnected and what do they actually do? How do they feed back to one another? So you've got your life experience. Now we can all probably recognize this picture to some extent, and it shows up in our life and we start to process things, and our brain's saying, I have to figure this out. Our heart is feeling overwhelmed and the gut is stuck. So what does that actually look like physically? We get headaches, head tension, conflicted feelings, and an unsettled stomach. That's a disconnect going on with the body. And then, of course, it's that belief, I'm not good enough. And we feed the belief, and we need to be really careful what we're feeding. I saw a really lovely, it was a movie actually, and this granddad said to his son, we all have 2 wolves in our lives, and only one of them can survive. There's the wolf that's positive, and then there's a wolf that is negative. And the one that survives is the one that we feed. And I just thought, man, that just totally, like, I'm a really visual person. So I was like, yes, that totally makes sense. So who are we feeding? Which one of the wolves are we feeding? So with these essential oils, 1 drop is actually equal to 40 million trillion molecules. So these tiny little compounds can service the whole body within a matter of minutes. They absorb into the cells and create a response. And that is why it is so powerful, quick, and effective to support with emotions. So because they are also, like I said, you remember how I said the emotions, they bind to the cells and create a response. This is exactly what essential oils can do too. For example, wild orange, that's one of my favorite essential oils. And it is one of the ones that I send out, and I hope that most of you have got the wild orange and adaptive. And the reason why is because actually wild orange helps to increase serotonin, which then releases endorphins, and endorphins make us feel happy. So that's a really amazing chemical reaction that we can pick up and have an impact straight away. Now, do you remember how I said our gut? You know, that huge percentage of serotonin, which is produced in our gut. So actually, we become healthy from the inside out. And although doTERRA is an essential oil company, the #1 product that has changed the most people's lives, and in my experience, and you know, the whole 6 years that I've been able to be sharing and helping people with doTERRA essential oils, this product has had the biggest impact on the most people. Now, what does that actually mean, and why are these different is the question. So similar to the essential oils industry, the supplement industry is just as crazy. The majority of supplements are completely man-made. They're totally synthetic, and your body cannot recognize them as good food and therefore does not absorb them effectively. Whereas these are literally food sources, so they're bioavailable. In brackets beside each vitamin, it will say like vitamin D, vitamin A, and in brackets it tells you the food source that it is and that it comes from. So it's a really, really lovely one. It's also got your omegas 3, 6, and 9, and they include essential oils. Now, again, I don't know if you've ever had omegas that repeat on you. I remember my mum always used to say, make sure you take your omegas. It's really, really important for your brain health, for everything. And I'm going, right, okay, I'm going to do this. And every single time, I would get this horrible repeating on me. And that's actually because the majority of omegas are already rancid. So if you were to cut them open, it's that horrible fishy. It's horrible. I mean, like, it's crazy, isn't it, that is what is there. But because these essential oils go in it, it actually supports it to stay as it needs to stay. And then you've got your superfoods, like milk thistle, selenium, turmeric, pomegranate seed, all of these really powerful things on their own. But you can see here from all of the different things that this can support with, you know, your DNA protection, your nervous system function, your the inflammation of your body, your immune function. All of those things will have a huge impact on your ability to function when things get tough. Now, the majority of us parents with PDAers in our life means that things get tough most days. Things get tough most of the time. And it's not on occasion in the day, it's quite regularly throughout the day. And so we need to make sure that our immune system is strengthened. We need to make sure that we are really, really supported. I know that for me, I probably the best description is that, you know, I've always been described as a green, like everything's fine, everything's great. And I think, hooray, I'm performing perfectly. People say, you're always so happy. But inside, I wasn't actually feeling that way. I was just getting through. And that was the performance that most of us do when we go out. And then after I started taking these, somebody had said that to me, and I kind of reevaluated. I thought, oh my gosh, I actually feel the way I'm portraying myself. And that's because I was able to manage much more effectively those huge explosions that would happen in our household. I could manage them much more effectively, and these helped me so much, along with stopping me needing a nap every day, because I used to need, I was like, yes, I got 20 minutes. And then the essential oils. So there are so many essential oils, and I'm not going to go through every single one of them because there are so many beautiful essential oils that can support us. But the top ones that have supported me and my Matthew is, so frankincense is probably our top choice. It's the first one that we reach for whenever there's something going on, along with wild orange and adaptive. Those are the 3 top that we use. Now, the reason for that is because frankincense is all about the brain connections and calming, and actually a very, very powerful mood manager. So if, say, for example, you are really low, this can support to bring you out of that low feeling. If you are kind of brain fog everywhere, this can help to bring that focus back. And this is where, you know, probably one of the last times that Matthew had like a huge meltdown, and they are much smaller because we manage using the essential oils. That doesn't mean they don't happen. It just means they're slightly different. And of course, working with siblings, it's kind of like you have to manage the responses of the siblings sometimes as well with PDA. You know, why is he not loading the dishwasher when I have to do it all the time? And it's those kind of things that just we have to manage, and we use essential oils to support all of them with their emotions. So then you've got the citrus oils. Those are the ones that increase serotonin and make us feel really lovely and happy. Now, as a mum, when you get those comments that come out to you that are so cutting, that are so deep wounding, that's the time when you either need to reach for your frankincense or your adaptive. Now, I love adaptive. This is one that it's one in my handbag. I have it with me all the time. because this is one that is needed whenever something goes on, to support with those feelings. And it's just that making you stay focused but peaceful. And probably the best description is the name of it, adaptive. It helps you to adapt to the situations that are going on. So something explodes, it's like, right, I need to be calmer. If something's hurt you, then you need a lift. If something is just going on and you're feeling really anxious about it, it's calming and soothing. So this one is such a beautiful blend of essential oils. Then you've got peppermint. If you feel low energy, this is really good to pep you up. And then On Guard is a lovely protective blend. This one is great for right now as an anti anything. If you're touching anything, this is a really lovely one to protect yourself with. But yeah, so then the next ones that I'm going to really quickly go over are those emotional aromatherapy. Now I want you to have a think about, and you don't need to share it in the chat if you don't want to, but you can if you do. This is kind of like, you remember how, Nicola, you mentioned console and that grief, loss, trauma, all of those kind of restlessness, unsettledness. These are designed for a specific emotion that we're experiencing. And you can kind of look at that and go, well, how am I feeling today? What do I need? You know, what's going on? And actually what my sister did, because mine are all older, so they can read, you know, there's like a little wheel that comes with it, and they can, we can talk about, well, you know, how are you feeling? Which one do you feel like you need today? You know, there's different ones that they can talk about, but there's also these, you know, symbols. Which one would you like? And sometimes, and it just, again, it depends on your children, whether the smell or whether or not it's something that you would choose the smell. But a lovely one that I've used very often is peace, because you're kind of that, you need that calm to come in after this chaotic thing going on. I certainly needed that at the beginning of last year when everything was going crazy. I just used that a lot of the time to help me calm down. So you fill your bucket drop by drop, you clear your mind thought by thought, you heal yourself moment by moment. And basically these essential oils are just about having an additional tool to support you. They are dynamic and they can support your body physically and emotionally. So then you might be thinking, so where do I start? How do I get started with these essential oils? And that's what we're here to support you with. So Jess is just coming in, isn't she? So hiya, Jess. But we've recorded this today, so please don't worry like about if anybody's missed any of this, so we can totally catch up about any questions that you might have. So have a think about, there you go, I've not even changed this, and so Vicky, I should say Nicola, shouldn't it? Sorry. Nicola, I didn't even notice I still had Vicky on there. So yeah, so have a think about if there's things that you've got going on and you just want to have that conversation, you want to think, right, actually, I want to sit down, I want to talk about what's going on with me and my life and what these emotions are that we're dealing with, because it's about you experiencing them, it's about you having a go with them, so that you can really truly see what these can do for you. One of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things. I don't know if any of you have seen The Boy, it's The Boy, the Horse, the Mole. I actually don't even know the name of the book, but basically it's a beautiful book and it's got all these lovely quotes in. My sister got it for me for my birthday. And this is one of those that it was a really, really powerful one, because sometimes we feel like things are done to us and we've been forced to react in a certain way. Now, I know that before the essential oils, I felt that really strongly, like this has happened to me and this is why I have reacted. Now I have these essential oils in my life. I am not saying that I do not explode still sometimes, and I wish I didn't. That is not the case. You know, that is absolutely true. But I would say the distance and the gap that I now have is much greater than it ever used to be for me. And so there are times when I can just go, right, quick, I need adaptive, or like, and I will literally just grab it, pop it on, breathe it in. I did earlier on this evening where siblings, and I just was like, quickly get the oils on them. And that's the thing, it's just working around, you know, what's going on in your lives, and we're here to support. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll like to open it up to any questions. Nicola, do you want me to pause the recording for the questions, or do you want?
I think it's up to it. If everybody's happy, and if they don't want to be on the screen, because we will send it. There's another 5-7 people.
Yeah.
Because it could be useful.
Yes, that's true.
You can guarantee those questions that people ask if they weren't able to attend. So one of the things I know somebody asked me, and I said, oh, we'll discuss it tonight, is how do you use the oils?
Yes. So I, as a rule, I will have the diffuser on. I use frankincense and wild orange as the main ones that we have in our diffuser. And because, like a lot of you said, sometimes getting them on the kids is not as easy, but also when you have it in the diffuser, you're impacting for yourself in a positive way as well as for them. So it's a really powerful way to really impact on everything that's going on without them even being aware of it. And I think that's a really powerful tool with PDA. The choice thing. Now, one of the things that I remember that used to really kind of blow my mind was the getting the socks on in the morning. I used to think, I just don't get it. Why can't you just, I know you do it at school, I know you do it in PE, why won't you just get them on? It used to just make me go, I don't get it. And then again, like I said, like when Ruth, that was one of the ones she described, like they could put one sock on but could not put the second one on. And I remember thinking, but just why? As a mum, I just would, and of course it's always highly pressured in the morning trying to get out for school. And as soon as I understood that it was about, he needed to feel calmer about it, and then giving him choices. So I would then often say, so you can put your sock on slowly, or you can put your sock on quickly. It's totally up to you, and walk away. And that removed that demand of get your sock on. And that was so powerful for us as a family. Then what I had to change was in the morning, because it was usually in the mornings that it was, because of course he's feeling stressed about going to school, because if their teachers are not amazing at understanding what's going on with them, then they just feel that really intense pressure all day, and then get home and then explode, which is what our Matthew was doing. When he had lovely teachers that were just really calm and nurturing, he wouldn't have that high pressure, couldn't go to school feeling. So we had to manage it using essential oils. At the front door, we'd have different ones to support him. And of course, again, that choice. So, you know, I would say, okay, we've got this one, this one, this one. It's usually 2 or 3 maximum. And I would say, do you want to smell it? And, you know, so I'd say, which one would you like? And he'd sniff them and then decide that he wanted one particular one. Or I would take me out completely and I'd just say, because they're rollable ones, the essential oils are on the side if you want to go and have a look and see which one you fancy. And that again would remove me from the situation. But it just depends on your little people and whether or not that's something that would cause them more stress. And if it does cause them more stress, then just pop it in the diffuser. Don't even have the conversation. Just remove that conversation from it. So yeah, so that's kind of how we use them all day. So I will use them at night, in the evening, you know, before he goes to bed. We have our routine of the different essential oils that we put for sleep. Now, my youngest, he's not PDA, but he is hyper as he is absolutely all over the place. I think he could run, you know, a couple of miles at least a day and still have every energy left. And so for him, he needed different types of essential oils to help him calm to go to sleep. And again, that's where that conversation comes in. Every single person's individual and each child is individual. So what we wanted today to be was a very much about, you know, it's supporting you as a mum with the, you know, emotional well-being, but also that is an additional tool if it works for your little people. And if you want to have that conversation so we can go over specifics, triggers, all of those different things, then that's something that I would love to be able to help you with.
Can we just say that very often for the roll, if you haven't got a rollerboard, you can make your own, can't you?
Yes.
And using, and I can never say the word. Yeah.
Yes, Kirsty's just showed she's got her like mini rollerball set. The kiddie set. And these are lovely because they're heavily diluted. So you've got things like Steady Blend, Brave, yeah, and flashcards that are like, yeah. So they're really lovely for like the younger kids as well. So they can kind of choose which ones, like, you know, literally they can choose. It's their kind of set because they're totally safe, heavily diluted children's essential oils. So they're lovely, really, really lovely. Does anybody have any other questions at all? Well, thank you everybody. It's been so lovely to be able to share this with you. I know it's kind of like a whistle stop, you know, what these oils are, what they can do. But if you do have any further questions, like I say, reach out. I would really, really love to help. I'm so passionate about how this has had such a profound impact and support for our family that I literally want to scream it from the rooftops to everybody who has these things going on, because they've just supported us so much.
Before we end, because I mean the orange, the wild orange that went out, you can actually put, if you have a big jug of water, you can put like a drop, can't you?
Yes.
And as you were saying, because it does boost serotonin.
Yes,
exactly. Give you boost. And I'm just thinking, if someone hasn't yet got a diffuser, because I remember those days before I had any diffusers, you can pop it in some warm water and it will
steam it, or you just put it, like, wait till they've gone to sleep, pop it on their feet, because that's another way of doing it, and I definitely have done that. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways to, you know, really support. Or you become a human diffuser, you put it on yourself and you're walking around. It's kind of like, it just helps to kind of have like a whole other just range of smells that you're becoming this diffuser.
So you can always melt a little bit of the oil if you haven't got fractuated oil.
Yes.
And put it in a like a glass jar.
Totally.
And then you can just gently pop it on. But I'm not sure about wild orange and adaptive, but some of them you need to be mindful, don't you, because of the sun.
Yeah, so any of the citrus ones you would put more like where it's going to be covered up. I mean, in the UK it's not, even now it's not as huge thing, but like if you are out and about, put it somewhere that's not going to be exposed to the sun.
It's just that when we do get the sun, it's really,
it is at the moment, it's lovely.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of other questions that maybe people haven't thought of or able to ask, but Donna and Jess have taken their mics off, so maybe they've got a question.
Oh, Jess,
yeah.
Donna, you have?
Yeah, do you mind me asking, just how many drops, like, do you sort of like recommend using of things? You know, I just sort of like, I put the adaptive in the in my diffuser,
yeah,
and I, you know, put a couple of drops in, but I don't know how much you do recommend using to have a benefit.
Yes, so it completely depends on what your preferences are, because it's going to go into the air anyway, so you're going to breathe it in. Even if it's a tiny small amount, you're going to still breathe it in. Obviously, the more you put in, the more you're going to have a smell of it, but it will still have an impact with a smaller amount.
Okay.
So it's
how many drops would you put in though normally? I mean, also,
so my sister says I'm going this oil for this and this oil for this, and I kind of make up concoctions that I want. So like, say for example, for frankincense and wild on, I'll do 2 drops of each of those, so that totals to 4, but the mini sample bottles, when you tap them, that's half a proper drop, like a bottle drop, that's half one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that I would say probably, and again, it just depends. With the small bottles, I wouldn't even do it in the diffuser. If you've got the option of putting it on your body, I would do it on your body, because it goes into your bloodstream much faster, if that makes sense.
I love that wild orange.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's like that sunshine in a bottle.
I've not used it yet, but I just keep sniffing it, and it's, yeah, I think that will be really good for me, actually, because I can already tell that I sniff it, and I think that's lovely, because I think I've tried frankincense before,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I really didn't like it.
Yeah, so frankincense is definitely one of those that I mix with wild orange, because
Okay.
I love wild orange. Frankincense is not my favorite smell, but it's kind of like it's got a job to do. So it's kind of like, right, we've got a job to do, but I want the nice smell, so we'll go with the wild orange and the frankincense.
Definitely. And before we end, because we've had a couple of people talk about headaches and migraines, the peppermint's good for that, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, it's really, really amazing for that. And actually, like, because of course those tensions, which often is here, held up here, and then it causes those really intense head tension from the stress that you're dealing with and things like that, then yeah, it's a really great, and you just put it on your pressure points there on the back of your neck. It's a lovely one to be able to utilize.
When you say you put it straight on, can I put it straight on? Like literally, I don't need to mix it with anything.
Nope. So which
Oh, brilliant.
Wild orange or adaptive?
Well, that's wild orange.
Wild
I
orange,
like
yeah.
the smell too.
It's
Yeah.
lovely, isn't it? So just put
Yeah.
it on your wrist, rub it together and breathe it in.
Okay. I will.
That's a lovely one. Absolutely lovely. But
And
yeah,
if anybody wants to know more, just either send me a message.
I
or
love
Catherine,
it.
but I think everybody's had messages to me, and yeah, I'll probably happily talk. I probably have Catherine's support, because I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing.
You know way more than you think, Nicola. This is the thing. We are, as parents, like, we are very much more intuitive than we think. So we know, like,
knowledge.
you're like, which one do I need right now? Like, you can literally smell adaptive wild orange and say, I need wild orange right now, or I need adaptive, you know, those sorts of things. They're really, really lovely. But yeah, I would love to support anybody who wants that kind of, let's have a conversation, let's go through things. But yeah, so thanks so much, Nicola, for having me on today.
No, thank you. And thank you for going through. And Donna, if you want, I'll message you this free 7 days of nurture, because that's there's some exercises to help the neck and shoulder. So
Yeah, great.
thank you, Catherine.
You're so welcome. I'll stop recording.